Back on July 12th, 2014, I released Battle of the Ports Show 25, covering Strider. That original video ran at 30 frames per second in 720p with no voiceover. Welcome to Battle of the Ports Strider Remastered. Strider first hit the arcades in 1989. The game is set in a dystopian future of 2048, where a mysterious dictator known as the Grand Master rules over the world. Hiryu, the youngest ever member of an organization of high-tech ninja agents known as the Striders, is alone tasked with the Grand Master's assassination. Hiryu begins his mission by infiltrating the Grand Master's capital at the Kazakh Soviet Socialist Republic, a federation referred to as East European, which became the imperial capital of the Russian Empire by the year 2048. The sound design in Strider is also unique for the time. It features multilingual voice clips during cutscenes, presented in English, Japanese, Mandarin, Spanish, Russian and Swahili. The original arcade game soundtrack was composed entirely by Junko Tamiya, who was not credited for her work in the arcade version, but was mentioned as part of the original arcade staff in some console adaptations. Early revisions of the arcade game were missing the unique music for the aerial battleship and third moon stages. In those versions, the music from the first stage of the game was repeated instead. In 1989, the non-talented THX brought Strider home to most home micros with great disappointment. Let's start off with the Abomination collection with the Amiga. This version is probably the best of the home micro ports, but that's not saying much. Compared to the arcade and the later 16-bit Japanese ports, this is pathetic. Gone is all the parallax. Many graphical elements are missing, making many areas look like the dark voids, and everything in general is small. This would be forgivable if the game played okay, but it does not. It's very sluggish, as I'm sure you can see, unresponsive and has terrible collision detection. Sonically, at least it has Strider's voice, but the music is always the same droning sound. Oh, and for some reason, stages 3 and 4 are switched. Yep, this is crap, but then again, what did you expect from THX? Next up is the Atari ST, and as to be expected, this is identical to the Amiga, apart from in some areas it does run faster. The audio is weaker, with no speech and more basic tunes, but at the end of the day it's still the same awful game that Amiga owners played. Oh, and yes, I am cheating on as many of these home micro ports because they're really horrible to play. ZX Spectrum time, and man, what a piss poor game. Even for a specky, this is poor. As with all THX ports, this has very vague controls, naff graphics, and piss poor audio. Keep away. As to be expected, this Amstrad CPC version is just a crappy ZX Spectrum port with some random colour added. I say random because there's no reason why Strider couldn't be blue rather than pink. Commodore 64 version looks nicer than the ZX Spectrum and the Amstrad, as you can see, but it plays incredibly stiff. Those other versions were stiff, but compared to this, they were like playing on ice with butter smothered over the soles of your shoes. Yeah, I'd go as far as saying that this port is unplayable, since all the enemy projectiles move a million times faster than you can move. time with yet another horrible TearText port. This IBM Compatible port is based upon the Speccy and Amstrad CPC versions. It's also another where Strider is pink for some reason. There are two colour modes to choose from, being CGA and EGA. This is the EGA version. Both versions play just like the ZX Spectrum game, meaning it's not very good at all. Now that we have the crap over and done with, let's get onto the console versions, starting with this 1990 September 29th port by Sega to the Mega Drive. Now to me, Strider has always made a grunting sound when he swings his weapon. This is what I grew up with, and find it far better than the metallic sound of the Western release. In fact, it was this very version of Strider I grew up with. The Mega Drive port is amazing for such a small ROM size of 8 megabits. The game uses some sort of decompression, which results in short half-second pauses once or twice per level, as the game loads in more data. This is a small price to pay for such a close arcade port. The Mega Drive version is by no means arcade perfect, but it sure is good enough. Not only does it look like the arcade, but it also sounds pretty close and includes some of the speech. It even plays just like the arcade game, making this, at the time of release, the best affordable way to play Strider legally at home. In November of 1991, TearText ported Strider to the Master System, and yes, it sucks. TearText have basically ported their crappy home micro versions to the Master System, keeping some of their unique elements, such as the altered stage design and ending, which states the whole game is a simulation Hiryu took before facing the real invasion. As a result, this port lacks the same quality of its Mega Drive counterpart, suffering from spotty programming, awkward physics, subpar graphics, and the same droning tune playing throughout the whole game. November 27th, 1992 saw the mighty Sharp X68000 Near Arcade Perfect port hit the stores in Japan. I say Near Arcade Perfect, but in many ways this excels the arcade. For one, it can run at a higher resolution of 512 by 256, while the arcade runs at 384 by 224, so that's a good point. What's not such a good point is that the X68000 version flickers like crazy in some areas, even more than the Mega Drive. It even has slightly lower sound samples, but it does contain the full soundtrack unlike many of the original arcade boards. Besides that though, this is a fantastic port featuring all the speech of the arcade, stages and animation.
Strider, hear you. He will never leave Eurasia alive. I got you.
Four years after the Mega Drive, the PC Engine saw a release of Strider on the Arcade CD ROM format on October 22nd, 1994. This port was developed by Dice Creative, a really poor Japanese developer who were also responsible for Vegas Stakes on the Super Famicom. They also made some average games such as Adventures of Lolo on the Game Boy and Sega Rally on the GBA, and SimCity on the Nintendo 64, as well as some other random stuff in collaboration with other companies. Anyway, Strider Hiryu was the second game to be developed, and what a mess it is. For the start, the game requires the use of the PC Engine arcade card. This gives the game a whopping 16 megabits of RAM per stage, while the entire Mega Drive game was only 8 megabit. How on earth can the PC Engine version be so poor? Now you may be thinking that there is something wrong with this video capture, but nope, the game runs at 30 frames per second. It has worse colour than the Mega Drive despite the PC Engine being far superior in the colour to palette department. And to top it all off, the game plays like crap. The controls are stiff and the physics are all wrong. On the plus side, the CD range music is not too bad, and there is an all new stage after stage 1, but then again, that isn't a very good stage anyway. Strider on the PC Engine is a major disappointment. October 24, 2006 saw the release of Strider 2 on the PlayStation, which also came with a copy of Strider 1. This port was developed by USEC Corporation and programmed from scratch by a team of 4 people. The music features new MIDI style music that changes dramatically during stages. The game also contains recorded music from the original arcade game played during certain scenes, like stage completion scenes, cutscenes, and during the end credits. As well as that, there's also an arranged soundtrack, which you are listening to now. The sound effects have been altered a little, with previous silent enemies now having sound, but overall the quality of the sound effects is rather low. Still, that's a small price to pay for such a good port. And let's take a look at all those versions of Strider running side by side.